Hey Nation, Gabe,
Nick.
and we are here today to bring you another video. All right, another reaction video. This was a little bit different, right? This is not a cricket combos or R3 wickets, not even a cricket Tuesday, but it's a little bit of a it's actually a request, all right, from one of our loyal followers. And Nick, talk about what we're going to be reacting to today.
So we are checking out this video from Ninh Explains. Born Reviews. We reacted to probably half a dozen of his videos. This is talking about baseball versus cricket. And I've always wanted to do my own video on the differences between the two. Gabe and I even have a video talking about baseball, but it's such a daunting thing to try to create one about the differences because there's so many and there's some similarities as well. And so this is a video from Ninh Explains called Baseball versus Cricket. And what we're going to do is we're going to be playing the video above us, behind us, and we are going to be reacting to it. And if we need to pause it and talk about this or that in case we feel like maybe there's a point that's not well explained or whatever, then we'll do that. But we want to talk about this, or we want to react to this video because we've learned a lot about cricket the last few years. We grew up watching it and learned about baseball. And so this would be cool for us to kind of see what this video has to say and what kind of conversations it sparks between the two of us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm excited to get into this. One of the reasons we were able to pick up cricket as quickly as we have, and we get a lot of love from the community. Like, man, two Americans learned baseball, and literally it was a year and a half plus, and not baseball, I should say, cricket. And it's because of the similarities between the two sports. Like Nick said, we grew up both following the sport. My kids play high school ball. My son, my nephew Trey. My nephew Renee played college ball up in Minnesota. My son Trey plays high school baseball. May go play college baseball. More than likely, he's going to be college football. He's a two-sport athlete. But the point is, we know a lot about it. I coached the sport. I played about it. I played the sport, and it's the first time I feel like I'll be able to add like a real expert analysis of the sport. Although I have learned so many things about cricket, and a lot of the philosophies are actually the same, especially when it comes to bowling and pitching. But Nick, man, I'm excited to watch this video. I'm ready to get into it when you are, brother.
Let's check it out. Please don't forget, if you are new to Cricket for Americans and you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe. If you aren't new, or if you are and you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really, really helps us out. And if you want to get your requests in like this viewer did, go ahead and consider being a patron if you can't get our attention elsewhere. And with all that being said, let's check this out. Here we go.
Explains baseball versus cricket. For some reason, I get a lot of people making adverse comments on my videos on baseball and cricket. Most of them are just trolling, which is pretty sad, but quite a lot of them seem to be misinformed, and I'm here to put that to bed once and for all.
Oh, wow.
This video will destroy the myths that each set of fans has in regards to the other sport, and show you why it's a largely pointless argument to compare the two. Before I get started, you know what to do: subscribe and hit the bell. And let's start by destroying myths held by cricket fans about baseball. Cricket fans will always argue that it's harder to hit a cricket ball, but this is not true. A show by ESPN Sports Science completely disproved this myth. The contact surface area of a baseball bat is significantly smaller than a cricket bat, which means putting the ball in play requires more accuracy with a baseball bat. This was demonstrated where a pro cricketer tried to hit with a baseball bat with relatively poor results, and a pro baseball player tries to hit with a cricket bat with significantly better results. The reaction time has to be quicker in baseball too. The distance between the wickets in cricket is roughly 20 meters. The distance between the pitching rubber and home plate, 18 meters. Therefore, you have less time to think and react in baseball. This is not a myth. This is a scientifically proven fact. It is physically harder to hit a baseball with a baseball bat. Cricket fans will argue that cricket bowlers launch.
So just right there real quick, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Now, it's not saying, and I don't think that just because you play baseball and you're a decent hitter, that you're going to be amazing at cricket. There's a lot more to it. But the idea that there's more surface area, I mean, it's pretty, indebatable.
Yeah, for sure. The pitch thing that he just mentioned, for whatever reason, when I did the math and converting meters to feet, there goes the metric system. Stupid metric system. Come on. Americans with their own measuring system. Baseball diamond is, or I should say, home plate from the pitcher's mound is 60 feet 6 inches. So I was like, okay, that translates to about, the same distance as a pitch, but again, the conversion rate. So I didn't realize that it's actually a little further. I thought it was almost spot on. Again, not that much, the difference between 18 feet and, of course, or 18 meters and 20 meters, but still, it still makes a difference, and it's a split second. I will say that, and my nephew Renee talked about this. I think I did bring him on a video one time, or I might have asked him the question. Now, he's a college hitter, and he's gone up against guys that are college and upper leagues, and we talked about it. And he said, and I'm interested to see if Ninh explains this. The difficult thing about hitting in cricket would be reading the ball off of the pitch, right? Because once it bounces, it's going to do something different. It's going to go somewhere, and that's what's going to be different. I hope Ninh explains that. And Renee, who's even a college baseball player, has gone up against college and some minor league pitchers. Says, easiest thing to do is be able to read that pitch off the hand, especially a fastball. Once you get the timing down, you're going to get there. These guys have been doing it all their lives, but then it's the deception what kills you. Well, think about it. Once that ball bounces on the ground, it's going to decept it, especially if the pitch is all broken up. That's what's going to make it different. But glad you stopped that there for that point, and ready to move on to the next one, my friend.
All right, let's move it on. I mean, yeah, you're probably going to mention more about the bowling there, but that's a huge point. Let's continue on with this.
To hit a baseball with a baseball bat. Cricket fans will argue that cricket bowlers launch the ball faster than baseball pitchers.
Pause right there.
This is not true.
I didn't want his answer. I was going to give my answer. But I think right now they say that the hardest throwing guys are like a Jofra Archer who's hurt, right? What's the boy's name from England as well? He throws gas too.
Mark Wood.
He's always hurt. But when gotta do the conversion rate, right? Those guys are like $140 kilometers or what now? That's like 95, 96 miles an hour. Brothers, guys in baseball that throw 102, 103 miles an hour, and that's just gas. That's ridiculously it's disgusting when guys throw that hard. I think, and I could be wrong, Nick, that part of the reason is because once they take that hop in cricket, you gotta lose some momentum. You know what I'm saying? Because I would think that you take that hop, then you pause and throw is a little bit different than being on that mound, right? The baseball mound, and you're able to push off those legs, the back, the back of that mound, and come with all that velocity downhill and be able to, just use all your body weight, throw it into it, and throw that pitch. But I've always said to myself, baseball players throw harder, and it's because they're stationary. Then they use all their momentum, push off that mound, and they don't have to take that hop like in cricket.
Well, especially nowadays where everyone's throwing gas. I mean, you talk about just the era we watched growing up 20, 25 years ago, and you had some guys that can get to 95 plus. A lot of guys were averaging like 87, 88, 90, something like that.
Right.
I just did the conversion right now. 150 kph is equivalent to 93 miles per hour. Okay.
Oh, wow.
93 miles per hour is decent, but that's not going to get you a difference. That's not going to give you the edge in Major League Baseball these days. 93 is usually for the guys that have lost some velocity on theirs. And there's some guys that cannot throw it hard, period. Maybe 90, 91, but they got some deception in other pitches. But yeah, so I mean, are there guys throwing 150 in cricket? I don't know. Maybe Thompson at one point, who knows? But I mean, I'm sure guys have gotten there, but on a regular basis, what I'm trying to say, 155, 160. Let's continue with this. But man, he almost got in there.
The average speed of a cricket ball at the top level is 88 miles an hour. The average speed of a baseball pitch, 92 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
The
92.
fastest ever cricket ball, Shoaib Akhtar, 100.2 miles an hour.
Woo!
The fastest ever baseball pitch,
Jeez.
Aroldis Chapman, 105.1 miles an hour.
Yankee now.
Baseball wins. Cricket
Baseball
fans argue
wins.
that cricket is played by more people worldwide.
Ah, I was trying to get in there before it got there.
Too quick.
More people worldwide. Excuse me. Let's continue on, but that kind of surprises me, actually.
This is an annoying.
Let me rewind that just a little bit.
Cricket fans argue that cricket is played by more people worldwide. This is an annoying statistic, as cricket is played by fewer countries where the populations are massive, and cricket fans use this to over-exaggerate popularity and therefore superiority. Baseball is played in more countries where the populations are significantly less. Baseball fans use this statistic to over-exaggerate popularity and therefore superiority. And even then, using populations or number of countries is not an accurate measure of how many people actually play the sport in these countries. To me, this does not dictate how popular a sport actually is. Cricket fans deem superior because baseball players use a glove to...
All right, so we got in there before. So it says baseball players are useless because they need a glove to catch the ball. Love to hear your thoughts on this one, my friend.
You know, here's the thing. When I first started watching cricket, right, and I would see these guys fielding without gloves, like I'd spaz out, bro, because I'm like, man, that is like, I always thought, you know, a lot of these major league hits, some of the catches they make are unbelievable, and you'd see some guys in cricket sometimes just drop some sitters. But not having a glove is gotta be, bro. There's no doubt in my mind. It's gotta be a disadvantage. Even watching when, for instance, Jadeja barehands a ball or whatever, he does it perfectly like a shortstop would barehand a ball in the infield. But if you watch in baseball, the barehanded plays, you know, I would say even the best shortstops will blow that play, you know, will only make that play 7 or 8 times out of 10 or whatever, where if you got the glove, that's almost guaranteed. If you don't make the play with the glove in your hand, bro, my gosh, it's brutal. You know what I mean? So the glove has got to make it easier, without a doubt. I'm not sure what Nin's going to say here, but I can almost guarantee you, for a fact, the glove makes it easier for the fielders in the field, and it makes it easier for the infielders, especially when some hot stuff comes at them. You know, think about a guy at Silly Point, right? You got the mask on, but you're there, and that ball comes at you, and you're trying to take in the bread basket with your hands or whatever. Ew.
The only time a baseball fielder is that close is if it's a bunt, and that's not a screamer. That's not going to be a screamer coming at right your face, right? If they get that close. Yeah, this is one that is, you know, it's very interesting to see where he's going to turn this. It's hard to argue with this one for sure. But one thing that would always frustrate me when I first got into cricket, and yes, like he said, there's a lot of trolls out there too. They're just trying to get a rise out of you. One of the biggest things I hear all the time is that baseball is cricket, but with less brains. That annoys me. That's kind of a different thing right there. But the idea that having a glove, like he says, makes them useless is ridiculous because the glove is allowed in baseball. It's not allowed in cricket. It's 2 different rules. It's not like you get a choice and more baseball players use a glove and whatever. You have a glove as part of your equipment, for crying out loud. And so we're not comparing apples to apples, but let's see what he has to say here.
I want to see his perspective.
The ball. Making fun of a sport because they use equipment for safety reasons is incredibly shallow. Baseball players use gloves as a safety measure, not because they're incapable of catching a ball without a glove. And any cricket fans who disagree with that, what's this then? What's that? What's that thing that the wicketkeeper has on his hands? Oh yeah, it's gloves. This argument is largely hypocritical. I'm all for player safety, and I condemn those who make fun of things that make a sport safe to play, especially if it's safety for kids. You literally are a disgusting scumbag if you make fun of safety measures.
Wow, I love it.
On the other side of the coin,
baseball
will argue that the cricket ball is easier to hit, and therefore it's easier to score runs.
That's not true. That's not true because we talked about the bounce already. It's about the same size as a baseball. It's about the same weight as a baseball. You got the bigger bat, but it's difficult, especially you got movement in baseball, obviously. Right. But I mean, just the idea of it coming off the ground is so foreign to baseball players that it would be a huge adjustment. Now, there's some guys that are athletic freaks that they can figure out things with a relative amount of time. But right. that's my initial opinion about that one.
All right, so Nick, this is a relatively new, unused cricket ball, okay? Not many cracks in it, not many divots in it, put it up to the camera or whatever. Obviously, we've messed around with it a little bit. Now, this is a ball that was sent from a fan that was actually played with, okay? And you can see how this thing is all beat up, all cracked, okay? In baseball, every time a ball gets a scuff on it, they throw it away. They get out of it. A catcher will get a brand new ball, grab it. A pitcher doesn't like it.
I don't
throw it
like
away.
how it looks. Yeah.
Okay. Because any imperfection in that ball is gonna make that ball do something different in the air, and it's gonna change the how that ball acts. There used to be similar to sandpaper gate, guys. Okay, in baseball, the Negro brothers, was it, that used to use the sandpaper to scuff up the ball back in the day until they got caught. Guys have put everything on baseballs from pine tar to sandpaper, spit, anything to make the ball not original, or not original, but not smooth. And the minute that ball hits the ground one time on a breaking pitch, on a dirt ball, the umpire himself will grab that ball, toss it, get rid of it, because it's gonna make the ball do something different. So that in and of itself, the fact that with a cricket ball you have to continue to play with it until the new ball comes in, makes it more difficult to hit that ball, because once it's going to do different things, it's going to start acting funny as the game goes on, and the hard ball is going to bounce off the bat further, where once the ball gets deadened up a little bit, right? Yeah, it's harder to get an edge, but then it's also going to be harder to pump that out of the park for six. So it kind of it balances it out. And I would think, again, back to my point earlier, Nick, my nephew already said, I think the only person I've ever seen hit a home run off a ball that bounced on the ground in professional baseball was Vladimir Guerrero. Because, bro, you see batsmen in baseball try to hit breaking balls, and once they bounce, most of the time they miss. A curveball is designed, if you buried it into dirt, to hit the dirt, and they can't hit it, okay? 99.9% of baseball players can't hit that curveball in the dirt or whatnot. It's almost unhittable. So I would say that from this perspective, that would be the answer. But that's my answer.
Yeah, one more thing I want to say about the second part. It's easier to score runs in cricket. You can score more runs in cricket than you do in baseball. You take T20, 3.5 hours, baseball, 3.5, 4 hours, relatively same time frame. Cricket has a 360 degrees that's in play. Baseball, it's just like that 90 degrees-esque, maybe 100 degrees or something like that. So you can score more runs. The bat's a little bigger, but don't think that's easier just because the bat's a little bigger. Let's see what this guy has to say.
All right. And therefore, it's easier to score runs. But that's not necessarily true. Yes, we've scientifically proven that it is harder to physically hit a baseball, but it's certainly not easier to score runs because of it. In baseball, generally there's 3 ways that you can be out: struck out, caught out, or run out. In cricket, there's 10. And not only do you have to defend your wickets, you also have to defend yourself. Because in baseball, if you're hit by a pitch, you get to cry about it a little, and then get a free pass to first base. In cricket, if you're hit by a ball and subsequently hurt from it, it's perfectly legal. And if it strikes your leg in front of the wicket, you're out.
WW.
Throwing at the batsman is not only perfectly fine, but encouraged. A bowler could bounce the ball at your head with every ball, and it'd be perfectly acceptable. Can you score runs efficiently if they're gunning for your face? Debatable. Baseball fans will argue that it's easier to put the ball in play in cricket.
Yeah, we already touched about this one too.
That's not true either. It's not enough to just make contact with the ball. It's putting the ball in play without being out. In baseball, you hit the ball between the foul lines, which forms this 90-degree area. You hit the ball outside the foul lines, you're not out unless you're caught in foul territory. But a cricket batsman has to be able to hit 360 degrees around. Yes, They have to be adept at hitting the ball behind them as well as in front and at their sides. And even then, they could still be caught or run out, as opposed to being let off with just a foul ball in baseball.
Yeah, that's a good point, that last
Yes,
part.
there are bigger gaps in the field because the fielding team has to cover more ground, but there's a lot more to think about than just hitting a ball with all your might. In cricket, you have to be more selective with what you hit, because once you're out, you don't get another chance to bat. You are done. Baseball fans will argue that cricket bowlers have no skill whatsoever.
So before we get to this one,
man,
I want to talk about a couple things he made a mistake on. Is that in cricket, you could bowl a ball at everybody's head, every ball, and it's perfectly legal and it's encouraged. Well, it may be.
He didn't say every ball. He didn't say every ball. He just said you can do it.
Well, but you've seen where you only should. I think you only get one ball or one bouncer per over. Yeah, right. Per over, and they're not letting you throw bouncer at tail enders. Umpires aren't going to have that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, Jimmy Anderson got beat up lately. They'll let you know. Listen, that's a number 9 or that's a tail ender. You know what I mean? So I think he was wrong from that. So I wanted to clarify that right away. Is it perfectly legal? Yes. And I understand what he's saying. In baseball, if you hit somebody, you're giving them a free base. So that's offensively actually hurting your team defensively, I should say, and helping the other team offensively. Headhunters are absolutely not encouraged in baseball, and it's frowned upon. With that being said, some people still
even though the unwritten rules say it's okay to do it if they show you up, right? One thing that I find interesting, and he kind of glossed over it, is the idea that in baseball, in cricket, if you're out, then you're out. But there's another side of that coin. In baseball, if my man Fernando Tatis hits a 3-run home run, he's feeling pretty good about himself, right? He doesn't get a chance to go up to bat again until there's 8 other guys that bat in front of him. In cricket, we've seen guys go off in special overs, getting 2, 3, sometimes 6 sixes in an over. The 6 sixes doesn't happen too often, right? But we've seen guys get 3 or 4 sixes in an over, especially in T20, because they're feeling really good, right? I mean, the bowler's got no answer for them. And so in baseball, you have to take some time off. You got to cool off a little bit until you get that chance. And so I think it goes both ways. I get it. Like in cricket, like you're out. But at the same time, if you're not out, you're going to be up there for long. Now, you're going to be exhausted being up there running constantly. But there's just two sides to that I wanted to make mention to.
I think one thing about cricket that makes it harder, especially Test, Nick, is that, yes, that guy could be up there and kill you. Like Uzi just put up a $141. We've seen guys can put up, Kane Williamson, 200 against my West Indies. Oh, you heathen. Oh, you heathen, Kane Williamson. But that's not going to happen in baseball. The reality is, I can pitch around you. If you're Kane Williamson, you're not going to get a sniff. You're not going to get a sniff to hit, all right? I'm going to walk you. I'm going to put you on base, whatever. Or I'm going to hit you. I'm going to make you wear it, cousin. Go to first base. But you really can't do that in cricket. You got to pitch to the guy. So I think that is a disadvantage to bowlers in cricket because realistically, bro, are you serious? You know what I mean? Like you got to face that guy. Now think about, again, Uzi's done this twice, right? Be out there for 6 hours. I don't know how you, and I'm sure you have at some point, you've gone to batting cages, right? And even in the batting cages, bro, you take 100 swings, bro, and your arms are hurting. Your hands are throbbing, okay? Just boom, 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 boom. You get tired. You sweating or whatever. Uzi saw 258 balls the other day. You seen guys see 300. That's a lot of swings to be out there in the heat, in the element. So from that perspective, I think it's more it's more draining in cricket because in baseball, like I said, you see guys go through unbelievable at-bats, 17 pitch at-bats. But usually the average at-bat is less than 7 pitches. It's 6 pitches right now. This guy strike out way too much. You know what I mean? And you put the ball in play or you'll get out. I mean, I think that is an advantage to the batter in baseball because they stay fresh. I know what you're saying. If a guy's hot, the guy could be up there. But think about a home run derby, right? You see a guy hit maybe 4, 5, 6 in a row, 10 in a row, but they get tired. They get tired and they're like, they run out of gas. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to do.
Right. So I do think there's something that can be said about conditioning too, though. I mean, cricket players, I'm not taking anything away from cricket because it is fantastic that you can be out there for those 6 hours. Now, they do get breaks every 2 hours, right? But it's amazing that you can be out there for that long and see so many balls, but they're also used to it their entire life, having that condition of that. So I see what you're saying, though, and that's definitely an amazing, amazing feat. Let's continue on with the video and see what he's got to say here.
You are done. Baseball fans will argue that cricket bowlers have no skill whatsoever.
Now, we know that's
but
not
it could
true.
be argued that they have to have more. In baseball, a pitcher stands in one place, throws the ball in the air directly to a batter who is standing in one place. But a bowler in cricket can deliver the ball anywhere along the crease, on either side of the wicket. They can throw the ball on the full, like in baseball where it doesn't hit the ground, or they can bounce the ball from the floor. They can fast bowl it, spin it, hook it, roll it, either at the wicket, at the gaps around the wicket, or at the player themselves. Whilst we've proven that they don't throw as fast, they use infinitely more tricks to try and get the batsman out. This, unlike what the myth suggests, requires skill. Baseball fans will argue that cricket is long and boring. Not exactly covering themselves with glory on this one. But the reason that baseball fans say this is because of test matches.
Yeah.
Due to their formats, they can
Which
take
we
any
love, but
minutes
yeah.
to play.
Love this.
Whilst that's down to the very nature of the sport and its rules, the same cannot be said about the newer format, T20, where some of the games are shorter than Major League Baseball games.
Absolutely.
It all depends on which format you're watching. And as for the boring part, that's a subjective opinion rather than an objective fact. In short, whilst I've categorically destroyed the myths surrounding each sport, this video has largely been a waste of time, because they're two different sports. It's kind of like comparing an apple to a lemon. Lemon fanboys will argue that lemons are better because they're more yellow, and apple fanboys will argue that apples are better because they begin with the letter A. You could invent any metric to support or disprove any argument between these two, but it's not a fair comparison, because, read my lips, they are two different sports. Oh, and contrary to both sets of fans saying things like cricket is an inferior copy of baseball, or baseball is an American derivative of cricket, neither one of those is true, because they always were and always have been two completely separate sports. They were invented around about the same time, with no common heritage or overlap other than the fact that both sports originated in England. There is no sport that is objectively better, as the objectives are completely different for each one. Yes, both sports are played with a bat and a ball, but that's where the similarities end. The real question is, which sport do you prefer? That is up to you. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below.
The rules of Pato. I haven't heard of that sport before. All right, so
Let me ask you a question, Dick.
let me just say this real quick. I feel like I love how salty he is in this video.
Oh gosh,
I can
you just
tell
see what I was gonna say.
I can tell that he has been frustrated by certain comments, and I've been there, for crying out loud. Oh, have I been there? And so it's fun that he made this video in kind of response to that, and he probably wanted to educate as well. He's absolutely right. It's completely subjective. And I like the fact that he appears to be knows what he's talking about, doing the research, that there was no, overlap in the creation of these sports. They're just happy accidents, basically. Both originated in England.
Right.
But I love his take on it. I love his attitude about it. There are similarities. There are. And there's a whole lot of contrasting differences. Let me get to that one thing he said about baseball fans think cricket is boring. Now, I don't know if I believe that, if they've actually given cricket a chance. But just that idea of cricket being boring. If you ask the average American, very few of them are diehard baseball fans. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, why don't you watch baseball? What are they going to say? Because it's
boring.
Long and boring.
Right.
So if you take that into account, and baseball can sometimes, it can be like 4 or 5 hours, but relatively 3.5, 4 hours is the average run time. Sometimes you can get in the 3-hour mark or less. If that's boring, it's just because we've short attention spans, for crying out loud. And yes,
right.
I love telling people about test, because they're like 30 hours for one match. I mean, it's unbelievable, right?
Right.
And so I just wanted to address that about the boring thing, because technically you're right if you hear about it, but if you actually watch it and you actually, I'm not talking about 2 games on ESPN, give it a chance, probably gonna like it. Either one.
You know, you kind of stole my thunder there when you were going to say, do you think Han Solo, you know, jumped in his? I guarantee you, Han was one of the dudes just trolling him or whatever, bro. Because he did seem kind of salty, right? Like, this is a response video. Han, let us know. Did you troll Nin? Because you know Han will let you have it, bro. He's probably the ultimate, man. And we love Han with the comments. He watches a whole bunch of videos. But sometimes Han will throw some zingers at you. And you're like, oh, bro, you know what I'm saying? Give me a break. I made a mistake, whatever. But with that being said, yeah, it seems like he's responding to fans pertaining to maybe if he was comparing both baseball and cricket, which we did in the beginning a lot. And then we realized that, yes, they are 2 completely different games. However, some of the things he didn't really cover are the similarities to the game. So, for instance, I believe there's so many similarities, especially when it comes to bowling.
Well, he said bat and ball. That's all he said for similarities.
Yeah. Where with bowling as well as pitching in baseball, okay, finger placement, right? You got wrist spinners, you got finger spinners. You know, baseball, same thing. You got guys that can throw a curveball, all right, using a curveball grip, or they have to, you know, break their wrist. Now, guys don't really like to use that because you can read it out of the hand, as they say. Same thing in cricket. I've heard guys say it. You got to read it out the hand. You got to read it out the hand. Read the lines if you're a batsman. Same thing in baseball. You want to read it out the hand because if you wait till it gets to you, you're done. It's game over, cousin. You know what I'm saying? That's going to eat you up. So, you know, from a batsman perspective, same thing. You're trying to pick up the ball out of the hand, see what it's doing. From a batter's perspective in baseball, you're trying to pick up the ball out of the hand, see what it's doing. You know, as a bowler, you're trying to see how that batsman is setting up and trying to set him up for something. Sometimes you'll waste the pitch to try to get him to do something. And you see that in cricket a lot where, you know, a bowler will keep coming in, move that bowler's feet and then go outside, try to get themselves to get an outside edge, or they'll start going further outside, wide to try to get a batsman to get enticed and get himself out. Same thing in baseball. I'm gonna try to nip around the corners of the edges in order to get, you know, to try to get you to pop a ball out, because if you don't hit it with the good part of the bat, you're probably gonna foul in baseball, you're gonna foul that ball off or pop it straight up in the air. So there's some similarities in how you attack hitters in the sport, and vice versa. Launch angle. I actually heard them say that on a cricket broadcast the other day about launch angle. We've been talking about that in baseball forever, and honestly, it's hurt baseball in my opinion, because less balls are getting put in play because now guys are trying to hit home runs. A lot of strikeouts, exactly, Nick, and it's brought down batting averages. The game isn't an example, but home runs have gone up, right? Where in cricket, also launch angles, you know, guys are trying to get under the balls to hit those sixes, especially in T20. The boring thing comes from Test. And I even thought that at first until I actually watched Test and watched the beauty of Test. Watch how I think it's probably of any sport, it's almost the most perfect because you've got to really earn that victory. There's nothing else, like we just saw, a team not allowing you to get that victory. Okay, I will draw this out. You've got to take those 10 wickets, all right, twice, so those 20 wickets. If not, everything you did, your 416, Uzi's 138 was for naught because you didn't win. That to me is just such an unbelievable feat, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's anything else in sport that compares to that as far as cricket's concerned. But like you said, it takes 30 plus hours, right? 5 days to get to that. Yeah, you played for 30 hours and you might have put 300 on me or 400 on me in the first inning, but you weren't able to take those 20 wickets. So it was all for naught. You padded some stats, but you got no more points in the points table than we did because it was a draw, cousin. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I love that fact, man. But yeah, this was a Han Solo inspired video, or some other trolls that were attacking Nin, because you could tell that he was just going off at some people in the comments. Like, look, I know they're different sports, but we shouldn't try to compare them. And we compared the two in the past, and you know, we ended up being educated on how the sports were different. One thing that I would say though is, unfortunately, I feel like cricket is growing, Nick, or not unfortunately. Unfortunately, I feel like baseball is dying At least here in America, it's a dying breed. You already mentioned it, bro. Like so many kids, like most kids today, they want to play basketball, they want to play football, they don't want to play baseball unless it's like a family thing that they push you into it. TV money is leaving because the game is long. They're trying to figure out how to shorten the game. They did something that's blasphemous that a lot of fans lost their minds, where there used to be these extra inning games that would go, or double hitters, and that's a tradition. They've shortened the game to 7 innings for double hitter because they didn't want to have these long double hitter day-night games. And now they're talking about, oh, why don't we just shorten the game altogether? Attendance was good for double hitters. Let's just make it 7 innings. What? You just took away tradition. It's and I get it. They're trying to continue to bring in this young audience and people with shorter attention spans. Like you're right, T20 is shorter than baseball. It's like 2.5 hours. Baseball, usually the games are about 3 hours plus. And they're just going about the wrong way of doing it. While you see cricket expanding even here into America, right? Other countries, IPL, right. England just got its own 100. They're talking about it going to the Olympics. So I feel like cricket's expanding, while unfortunately, baseball, maybe in 10 years, baseball may not even be a top 5 sport in America. And that's sad to say, because I love baseball.
Well, maybe if baseball wants to bring more young fans in, because that's the biggest problem. They don't have young fans over, per whatever fan base. Maybe they should do what cricket did and create a shorter format of baseball. 5-inning baseball. Don't call it Major League Baseball, but Major League Baseball has the money. Start a new league. 5 innings. Let that grow. See if you can get fans, if they are interested in an hour and a half, 2 hour tops game, then maybe they'll enjoy that. Who knows? You have less arms getting worn out, right? Because you don't have a million pitchers that have to go. You can throw your gas for about 3 or 4 innings and you're good. They should try that. You might as well. It's not going to be too successful, but they've got to try out something if they want to grow it right now, because what they're doing right now is not working for the 9-inning format.
If they stuck to the original rules of baseball, Nick, baseball would move quicker. Okay, the games have actually gotten longer. You know why? Because the strike zone always used to be letters. See where the letters are on your uniform, to your knees. The strike zone has gotten smaller, which has made it more selective for the hitters to hit. Your pitchers have to throw way more pitches to get an out, and it takes longer.
There is no strike zone. It's a different strike zone for every umpire. There is no strike zone.
That too. So if they had a uniform strike zone, listen, letters to knees, either if it's within that batter zone, the block, stop telling me, it nipped the corner or it didn't hit the corner, whatever. And most people can tell, because the TV can tell, whatever. If it's a strike, you call it. But that's what it is. You stick to the original rules and the game will be great again. But they, in an effort to make the hitters better and get more quote unquote offense, what they've gotten is a lot more people walking, which is boring, and wearing out pitchers. And then you get to these trash pitchers that aren't good, and they've diluted the game instead of making hitters truly be good, and have to go out there and face pitching that could come at your letters and it's a strike, or at your knees. That's what's still in the book to this day, for the love of Pete. And these umpires do whatever they want. I hate it.
But you're talking about something that would shave off maybe 15 minutes in the game. It's still going to be too long for the average American. And, they've got to try something. I don't want them to change the rules of Major League Baseball, start a new league, have different rules there, see where that goes. But you'd have to put like a 5 or 10 year investment, and who wants to do that? The question is, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this video, about us analyzing different video, pausing, talking about? Let us know if you like that kind of format. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.